Good evening. As the war in Ukraine continues, local lawmakers today passed a resolution in support of that country.
KITV4's Jeremy Lee was at the state capitol today. He joined us now live with more on the message from state leaders. Jeremy.
Mika and Rick, their resolution calls for contractors to stop working with the governments of Russia and its neighboring ally, Belarus. But what about economic measures? Legislators were asked, what will cutting off crude oil from Russia mean, as the Aloha state receives more oil from Russia than any other state in the union? Legislators from the House and Senate gathered in support of the Ukrainian community. While the House was passing a resolution condemning Russia's invasion this week, Hawaii's only oil refinery, Par Pacific, committed to cut off crude oil imports from Russia. Of all imported foreign crude, the U.S. only takes in 3% of its oil from Russia, yet 28% of Hawaii's crude oil imports have come in via recent contracts from Russia. With that changing, will it mean higher prices passed on to the consumer?
We're already paying higher gas prices, and I think it's reasonable to expect that we'll be paying even higher gas prices. I would say, from my own personal point of view, it's a small price to pay compared to what the people in Ukraine are paying right now.
Beyond the pump, how prepared is the state of Hawaii to cut ties with Russian oil? According to the Hawaii State Energy Office, it's not a supply issue for Par Pacific.
They're going to be able to look at other sources of that fuel. They're going to be looking at North America and South America for that oil.
Senator Glenn Wakai at the Capitol expressed concern that the electricity sector could become over-dependent on petroleum. In a step towards clean energy, a mandate will close the coal-fired AES power plant in Oahu this fall.
That's the problem that we're facing, is we have a mandate to go more renewables, but because of supply chain issues, because of a lack of permitting, we have stalled on the forefront of trying to push more renewable energy, and thus we're pivoting from one cheap fossil fuel to one expensive fossil fuel by the end of the year.
For the year 2020, petroleum generation made up 60% of Hawaii's generation. Coal was down to 11% of the state's generation. A record 26% of electricity supply came from renewables, such as solar, biomass, and geothermal. That's according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. The Hawaii State Energy Office says renewable projects are on target, hitting all benchmarks. Hawaii has a 100% renewable energy goal by 2045.
It can't be stated more emphatically how important it is for us to continue pursuing our clean energy transition and decarbonizing our economy, because it provides us this energy security and independence.
Now, the price of crude oil can be volatile in light of geopolitical events, but the one statistic look for Hawaii to change is that 10 to 25% of Russian crude oil imported into the United States has been imported by the state of Hawaii. Reporting live, Jeremy Lee, KITV4 Island News Tonight.